So Media Day was today for the 2024 Vegas Grand Prix, and beef is being stirred up between the drivers and the FIA, primarily the FIA president, who always loves to run his mouth. So George Russell is obviously the drivers delegate essentially that runs the GPDA, which is the drivers union essentially. And we're here to go over his response because when they last released their statement, and we talked about that in a previous video, that was during our little 3-week break here. So this is the first time they really had a chance to ask him any questions about it. So let's get started with this. We're going to keep the green screen on to try to not get copyright here, and hopefully it works.
To the broadcasters first. David, yeah.
David Croft, Sky Sports F1.
Crofty,
George,
right away.
to you,
He's
and with
ready.
your GPDA hat on,
he's got the
please.
sequin jacket on. He's ready. Come
in
on.
between the last race and this, the FIA have dispensed with the services of Neils Wittich, the race director.
Yes, and we talked about that before. Neils Wittich was the race director, filled in since Michael Massey in Abu Dhabi 2021, and just got randomly fired after the Brazil Grand Prix.
Is this something that the GPDA were aware of before it happened? Are you concerned that there are 3 races to go and we now have a new race director, especially coming in to a street race like Las Vegas, which we saw last year, can have a whole load of unfortunate.
Yeah, Las Vegas was obviously a shit show last year, and now they're going to have a new guy for the end of the year, which is just ridiculous.
Seeing problems.
Yeah, we definitely weren't aware. It was a bit of a surprise, I think, for everybody, and it's a hell of a lot of pressure now onto.
I'm gonna have to pause this a little bit so we can kind of cut it up. But what is the point of having a drivers union if they're not going to be in the loop about getting rid of the race director? Like, it's not like it's some secretary. So it's the race director, bro, with 3 races left. Why would that even happen? And again, the FIA tried to come out and say that Neils Wittich stepped down and resigned from his role or whatever. He came out right after that statement came out and said, absolutely not. They got rid of me after the Brazil Grand Prix. And there was some weird shit that happened with the flags and whatnot. But again, they're catching heat from the GPDA because why even have a drivers association if you're just never going to communicate with them?
The new race director, just 3 races left, and what decisions are
going to yap a little bit here
are being made. So yeah, time will tell. I'm sure the new guy will handle the position just fine, but definitely not an easy race.
Not a good time to start.
A new
and
race
I bet
director.
he wasn't preparing for this either.
Okay, thanks, George.
All right, so they're going to ask him another question
Niels
right away.
Valkenburg, Viaplay. Also for George, but I'd love for you both to chime in as well. Last week, a pointed statement from the GPDA towards the FIA, and especially.
So before he goes into that, so here's the statement again, if anybody forgot. So we're going to skip to the meat and potatoes. We urge the FIA. With regards to swearing, there's a difference between swearing intended to insult others and more casual swearing. Obviously, this is stemming from oh, fuck me. Anyway, sorry. With regards to swearing, there's a difference between swearing intended to insult others and more casual swearing, such as you might use to describe bad weather or indeed an inanimate object, such as a Formula 1 car or a driving situation. Max Verstappen said the car was fucked, and they fined him 10,000 euros and gave him community service, whatever that means. So we urge the FIA president to consider his own tone and language when talking to our member drivers, just the drivers, or indeed about them, whether in a public forum or otherwise. Furthermore, our members are adults, and they do not need to be given instructions via the media about matters as trivial as wearing jewelry and underpants. So obviously, Mohammed bin Akbar came at Lewis Hamilton for the jewelry. That was last year at the Miami Grand Prix, and he had a whole thing about choosing what kind of underwear they wear. And they finished up here, just this last little part. GPDA has on countless occasions expressed that its view is that driver monetary fines are not appropriate for our sport. For the past 3 years, we've called upon the FIA president to share the details and strategy regarding how the FIA's financial fines are allocated and where the funds are spent. So he's like, if you're taking our money, where's it going? Who's getting that? Are you just going right into your little fucking greedy ass fucking pocket? Little motherfucker. And while we're on the topic, how is it that all the Middle East tracks, Bahrain, Qatar, and I believe Saudi Arabia too, they're all signed for the next 10 years, no problem, but we're going to miss out on Spa. We're going to lose Spa or Monza or fucking Imola, but we have 3 in the Middle East, and people want to bitch about 3 being in the United States. Sorry, that's a tangent, but anyway.
Towards the president,
back to the
tone seemed stronger than I expected. Does that reflect the mood in the field of drivers as well?
I mean, talking as a fellow driver, as opposed to sort of my role with the GPDA, I think everybody felt with
100%
certain things that have happened over the course of this year that we wanted to sort of stand united. At the end of the day, we just want to be transparent with the FIA and have this dialogue that is
just a little bit of dialogue,
that is
guys.
happening. And I think
just bring it up.
The departure of Neils is also a prime example of not being a part of these conversations. And ultimately, we only we want to work with the FIA to make the best for the sport that we all love. So
certainly, yeah. This wasn't an issue all those
I think it's kind of us now
now
putting the pressure back on them to work with us and work with everyone, including F1 as well, just to maximize this opportunity. Which
he's just going to yap a little bit more here. So let's move on to the next clip, because they ask him again pretty much. Crofty again asked him straight up pretty much, should Neils Wittich have been fired? So let's skip to that, and then we're going to go to Lando Norris's comment here. I love how Crofty just comes out just fucking right up. Like, let's hear it.
Public forum, this one.
Here we go.
Did you and the GPDA think that the race director needed replacing?
Good question.
I mean, I can only talk on behalf of myself here, as opposed to any of the other drivers.
Going for that Trump look.
Yeah, I think there's no secret that some were not happy with what was going on in terms of the decisions that were being made.
Decisions, specifically the flags and whatnot being called at Brazil, because there was about 3 different occasions over just that one weekend where there was crashes where people were clearly like broken down on the, like close to the track, and the yellow flag was out for 30 or 40 seconds sometimes, and then they would bring out the safety car, the virtual safety car, and it just seemed weird that it seemed like they were trying to give certain people an advantage. It didn't necessarily work out that way as much. Verstappen got, well, I guess it actually did, because Verstappen got caught out in Q2 on something similar to that. So that was I mean, again, they could justify it if they just came out again transparently and said, "Hey, it's because of Brazil Grand Prix. It's been a couple things leading up to that, and then Brazil happened, and we didn't like how he handled that." That's totally understandable. They just say nothing and then can him and say, "Oh, he resigned." No, he fucking didn't.
But at the end of the day, I think if you work together with us, that we could have helped improve the matter. And I think
yeah, man. Hey, maybe ask the drivers what they need. Maybe they would know. Not fucking Mohammed bin Sulayem, who they put in an F1 car and he crashed it in about 15 meters. Like, what are we talking about? This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, bro. He's just got money. He's just got money and influence. And
yeah, sometimes just hiring and firing is not the solution. You kind of need to work together to
learn through it. Yeah,
improve the problem. So let's see what this new sort of era is going to bring. But every time there is a change, you have to take one step back before you make the 2 steps forwards.
Whatever that means, you know what I mean? But what that says to me is like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we doing this? So they asked Lando Norris. I just thought it was funny to include this because it's kind of a shot at the F1, not really the FIA, but they ask him about the F1
Viaplay for Liam and for Lando. We've got a launch event next year at the beginning of the year. Max was quite vocal about it, of having to attend another event. What are your feelings about it? And are you going to be sick or are you going to be there?
Lando, let's start with you.
Go ahead, Lando. He's thinking, what do I have to give some personality here?
I mean, if I get told to be there, I guess I'll be there, you know.
I'll do what I'm told. And then he's like, wait a minute, let me have some kind of personality.
I might see where Max is going on holiday and join him. So
there you go.
We might end up having the same illness or something.
You don't have to lick the boot all the time, buddy. It's okay. Max doesn't do it, and he still wins the championship, dude. It's okay.
But I don't know. I think it's a cool event. I'm happy for F1. You know, I think it's sold out.
It's a cool event. You're charging fucking £100 for, bro. Like what for? Like I think it's what they say, 2 hours, maybe 2 hours. And I doubt there's going to be like some crazy live performance. Something. It's literally just going to be the drivers in the cars. I guess that's good.
Out extremely quickly. It's cool for a lot of fans. It's a big thing for Formula One. So
stats are cool.
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be done. I don't know the layout of events.
Yeah, who cares, honestly. So let's go on to some other stories. Max Verstappen also commented on the timing of Neils Wittich being fired and said that it's weird timing. Obviously it is, but he was also complaining last weekend in Brazil about the flags being called. So I don't know if he can really say that. Again, if they just came out and said that's why, that'd be one thing. But they said that he resigned, and then he's like, no, I didn't. So now they just got fucking egg on their face. It's a bit weird with 3 races to go to do that. it doesn't matter if you're positive or negative about certain things, which I thought in Brazil there was definitely room for improvement, for example. It's still a bit weird to now have to deal with a different race director. So, again, he's saying, yeah, there was some weird shit that happened in Brazil. He can't be too upset because he did end up winning, but he started towards the back of the grid because of some weird shit happening, and I just can't imagine it's just because of that. That wasn't like an Abu Dhabi 2021 situation where you have to get rid of Michael Massey and there's death threats and everything like that. That just wasn't the same kind of situation. Definitely weird timing. Also talking about the FIA, they have came out with a flash ruling essentially on the what's the best way to call it? It's like a slippery underfloor. So here's a good good picture to show you here. It's these little metal pieces on the plank on the bottom that is supposed to obviously, since it's metal and not the wood, maybe have a little bit less friction. It's supposed to help the car kind of slide. Instead of, I guess, getting maybe more caught up on the wood. I imagine the wood would have to have more friction than a metal would. But this is what they have changed now, and I believe it was Ferrari, Haas, and Mercedes were the three constructors that have been running that kind of floor. I think I also saw that Red Bull and McLaren have not been, so they won't really have to adjust to that. But Ferrari was looking good for this weekend too, and if they have to change that now, which I believe they do effective immediately for this weekend, yeah, that's going to be a little bit tricky for them. So Red Bull were the ones to point this out here. The Formula One teams have reportedly been issued a new technical directive ahead of Las Vegas after Red Bull pointed out rivals were running special protection on their skid blocks and fastenings. So Formula One has defined regulations for skid blocks, the plank underneath the car. Yeah, so it's supposed to help the skid wear, obviously, and also kind of help it slide more. So they block that. That's one thing. And yeah, Neils Wittich thing, we'll just finish up with this. They came out and said that he resigned. FIA came out and said that, and he didn't. And I believe the FIA fired somebody else this week too. Who was it? It was like Paolo something or another. Basari. It was Basari, yeah. Leaves FIA compliance officer role. The compliance officer is essentially the one that keeps Mohammed bin Akbar in check. That's pretty much what it is. So he fires the guy that keeps him in check while he also fires the race director on the same week. Weird shit, man. I don't know. This has been a weird year for the FIA. I mean, obviously kind of to be expected, but this dude's just he just can't get out of his own fucking way, man. Like he gets no favor. Like nobody cares. Nobody wants to deal with his shit, man. Nobody likes him either. He tries to like shake hands and come up to people and this and that. You just know everybody fucking hates you, dude. Maybe if you weren't such a fucking douchebag and didn't do all this dumb shit, they wouldn't hate you. But it's the fact of the matter is that's the situation you're in. And maybe if you get your head out of your ass, you can fix it and not be so hated. And maybe the fans will start to, get on board with it too. But for now, dude, that they're adding the gender neutral language to the driver, whatever the fuck. As far as I know, Muslims don't really care much for that shit, and I just don't really I just don't understand that other than from a DEI social credit score or whatever the fuck perspective. I understand that because if you do happen to look up Liberty Media, who owns F1, if you happen to look up their ESG score, which is essentially your we're gonna go off on a little tinfoil hat tangent here. If you look up their ESG score, they're in very good standing. And that comes into play with the sustainability by 2030, this and that, and the gender neutral language and Formula Academy, all of that kind of stuff. All of that kind of stuff plays into it, and it just ruins the sport, man. Just keep that shit out, man. It's just racing. We can't even focus on the racing because we're worried about the GPDA here having to say, hey, dude, free speech and also shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, he has to make it about him, bro, because he was never anything. He was never successful as a racer other than in some little Middle Eastern regional thing that he probably fucking had the best car and probably fucking paid people to lose, like all this other bullshit. Just a fucking sad excuse of a man bringing down F1. And unfortunately, the stock is going crazy. If you look up Liberty Media stock, they're doing really well. So that only makes it worse because then they're just going to think, oh, that this is working, whatever he's doing. Over the last 5 years, and we looked at this in my last live stream, they're up 89%, which is almost half of their entire value. So they've done quite well, unfortunately. and their DEI, decisions have been rewarded, but it's all coming to a head, man. It's all coming to a head when the best driver on the grid, and really the second, if you want to say that one of the second best drivers or one of the other top drivers, at least legacy-wise, Lewis Hamilton, both are at odds with the FIA very openly, as well as most of the other drivers. Like a guy like Lando Norris, dude, he wants to be milquetoast and just toe the line and have a little, maybe I'll go see what Max is doing. You know what I mean? Have a little bit of personality so people like him, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to come out and say something like that. Like Leclerc, maybe, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about fucking Muhammad, whatever the fuck his name is, and all his bullshit. He always likes to inject himself into the conversation and fucking throw a wrench into things. We just can't have anything nice anymore. You know what I mean? So let me know what you guys think. I'll be back with some more content, and we have FP1 starting in about 2 hours now from when I'm recording this. So enjoy that. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe if something happens, I'll recap it. If not, maybe I'll be live for the sessions tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Peace.